Good day everyone. Before anything else, I would like to share with you the task that was given to us. So we were given a task to discuss the following. First is to explain how the following view language and teaching and learning. The structural view, functional view, and the interactional view. The second one is to explain the following theories in language learning. The behaviorist theory, cognitive theory, constructivist theory, and the last one is the social constructivist theory. The third part is to explain the different components of the English grammar. And lastly is to differentiate the following: the prescriptive grammar versus the descriptive grammar. The next one is the diachronic linguistics versus the synchronic linguistics. And lastly, to discuss or to differentiate between oral language and written language. So the first one is the structural view. So structural view is the most traditional of the three because it states that it views language as a linguistic system rather, that is made up of a subsystem or the grammatical elements like morphological or phonological, lexical, and different grammatical elements. So it basically means that to be able to learn a language, we must also learn these structural items to be able to speak the language correctly and to be able to produce and understand the language. So the next one is the functional view. The functional view is the same as the structural view. It sees language as a linguistic system, however it serves another purpose, which is to do activities or functional activities. For instance, our day-to-day language uses or involves functional activities, such as requesting, suggesting, or even playing. So learners learn this language to do things with it. They do that in the process of combining grammatical rules and vocabulary. So the last of the three is the interactional view. So an interactional view is or perceives or considers language as a communicative tool. So it basically means that it serves a purpose to build up and maintain social relations between people. However, even though the main purpose is like that, one must know the grammatical rules and the vocabulary of the language and know how to use these rules in a communicative context. Now, let's discuss about the different theories on language learning. First is the behavior theory. Behavior theory is proposed by behavior psychologist Skinner. He suggested that language is also a form of behavior, and this theory of learning is called or referred to as behaviorism. And there's a certain method in which language is learned by constant repetition and the assistance or the reinforcement of the teacher, and this method is called audiolingual method. So the next one is the cognitive theory. The term cognitivism is often used to describe method in which students are asked to think rather than repeat. It is the opposite of the previous theory that we discussed, which is the behavior theory. And according to Chomsky's theory, language is not a form of behavior. It is an intricate role-based system, and then the large part of language acquisition is actually learning about the system. A learner of the language requires or acquires a language competence in which enables him to produce a language. So the next one is the constructivist theory. It states that learning is a process in which learner constructs meaning based on his or her experiences and what he or she already know. It is also believed that education is used to develop the mind, not just to recall what is learned. With this, teachers must have a balanced understanding of habits, characteristics, as well as personalities of individuals learned. In addition, teachers must have an understanding of different means of arousing learners' interest and curiosity for learning. So lastly is the social constructivist theory. So this theory is similar to the constructivist theory. It emphasizes the interaction and engagement with target language in a social context. So the whole theory is based on the concept of zone of proximal development. So what actually is zone of proximal development? It is the space between what a learner can do without assistance and what a learner can do with adults guidance or in collaboration with capable peers. So the help or the support that a learner obtained from the guidance of capable teachers or peers is what we call the scaffolding. Scaffolding is the help or support that takes place in the zone of proximal development. So learning is best achieved through the dynamic interaction between teachers and between learners or capable peers. Now, we are going to discuss the different components of the English grammar. We could also refer these to as different grammatical categories, which are 8 in total. They are the noun, the verb, the adjective, the adverbs, the pronoun, the preposition, the conjunction, and the interjections. So now we are going to discuss the first of those 8, which is the noun. Noun is a member of syntactic class, or to be more precise, under the category of open class. Noun includes words which may refer to people, things, places, ideas, or even concepts, where most or whose members may act as any of the following: subject of the verb, direct object of the verb, indirect object of the verb, or even the object of preposition. And most of whose member have inherently determined grammatical gender. So the next one is the verb. Verb is also a member of syntactic class of words. We can also say that verb is a member or under the open class category. It states that a verb referred to as an action word, syntactically speaking. However, there are some words that does not exhibit an action, such as the word thinking and imagining. Imagine. So, how can we identify a word as a verb? So, syntactically speaking, we can identify a word as a verb in its position in the sentence. Also, in the suffixes or the prefixes that attach to the word, we can then identify the word as a verb. Verb also typically signals events and action. It governs the number and types of other constituents which may occur in the clause. So the next one is the adjective. Adjective belongs to the open class category whose members modify nouns. An adjective also specifies attributes or properties of a noun element. It occurs within a noun base or in a static predicate. Adjective may also be intensified. It may also take comparative and superlative degrees. The next one is the adverb. Adverb also belongs to the open class category. Adverb, if it is narrowly defined, it is a words which simply modify a verb. For such categories, then these categories are time, manner, places, and directions. And then adverb, if it is broadly defined, it is a word which modify any constituent class of words other than nouns, such as verbs, adverbs, adjectives, clauses, and even phrases. The next one is pronoun. Pronoun belongs to the closed class category. It is a proform which functions like a noun and substitutes for a noun or a noun phrase. If pronoun preceded by a noun, it becomes a determiner, and there are different types of pronouns. We have the personal pronoun, the reflexive pronoun, demonstrative pronoun, the interrogative pronoun, and lastly, the relative pronoun. The next one is preposition. A preposition is a word or a group of words under the closed class category, used to link nouns, pronouns, and phrases to other words in a sentence. A preposition is a word or a group of words, just like we have discussed or mentioned earlier, used before a noun, pronoun, or noun phrase to show direction, time, place, location, spatial relationship, or to introduce an object. In a sentence,
preposition may appear on its own, or it may appear in a phrasal type of words, such as onto, or in front of, next to, or instead of. The next one is conjunction. Conjunction is a word that belongs to the closed class category. It is a word that links words or even larger constituents in a sentence. It also expresses a semantic relationship between them. Furthermore, conjunction is positionally fixed in a sentence. And there are three types of conjunction. We have the coordinating conjunction, subordinating conjunction, and the correlative conjunction. Coordinating conjunction, which is the fanboys. We have F for, A for N for nor, B for but, O for or, Y for yet, and S for so. And the next one is the subordinating conjunction. The example of it is the because of, whenever, even though, etc. And lastly is the correlative conjunction, which comes in pairs, which is the either or and neither nor. It is a word that also belongs to the closed class category. It is a form typically brief, such as one syllable or word, which is used most often as an exclamation or part of an exclamation. Furthermore, interjection also typically expresses an emotional reaction. And then, interjection is not syntactically related to another accompanying expression, such as, so there are different types of interjection. We have the one syllable, or the one word, or even two words, and then two words or more, such as the word or the syllable ah. And then we also have the one word, which is the hey, and then the two words such as, or two to three words such as oh my god. So now we're going to discuss the difference between the descriptive grammar and the prescriptive grammar. From the word descriptive, it implies description, or to describe something. Descriptive grammar describes how a language is used or being used by speakers. Prescriptive grammar explains how a language should be used by speakers. Descriptive grammar is an approach to grammar which is concerned with describing how language is used by native or non-native speakers without reference to proposed norms of correctness or advocacy of rules based on these norms. The language usage may vary or can vary according to varied speakers. Descriptive grammar is not or does not consider what is correct. Furthermore, the rules are made according to the daily usage of language by these speakers. And then prescriptive grammar is concerned with establishing norms of correct and incorrect usage. The formulating rules are based on these norms. Grammar rules are created by the native speakers, which are the one considered to be correct, and the variations are the incorrect. And then prescriptivist view of language implies a distinction between a good and a bad grammar. The primary focus of this approach is the standard form of grammar and syntactic construction. Diachronic linguistics is the study of language through different periods of time in history. And diachronic linguistics is one of the two main temporal dimensions of language study, identified by the Swiss linguist Ferdinand de Saussure, and the other one is the synchronic linguistics. The term diachrony and synchrony refer respectively to an evolutionary phase of language and to a language state. Diachronic means across time, which focuses on the study or on the historical study of language. Language change is one of the subjects of historical linguistics, and the term historical linguistics can be used instead of diachronic linguistics. Now let's move on to discuss the synchronic linguistics. Synchronic linguistics literally means with time. Synchronic study of language is a comparison of languages or dialects used within some spatial region and during the same period of time. So gaining as much synchronic information as possible about an earlier stage of language must surely be viewed as a necessary prerequisite for doing a study or work about on the iconic development. When the language is mentioned, we often refer words that we choose in our speech, and there are about 6,000 languages being spoken around the world. The difference between the two is that oral language is most commonly used for public speaking, while written language is used for text. Reading text does not sound like a conversation, unlike public speaking, where it should be sound like a conversation. There are a lot of differences between the two, such that oral language has a smaller variety of words and uses fewer syllables, and oral language has shorter sentences. And the most common example is that if a person gives a speech, if we didn't have the full grasp of the content of the speech, we don't have the ability to rewind the time or listen to it. Unlike the written language, we can read it if we didn't understand. The next one is that if we didn't understand a content, we didn't have the ability to walk around with internet to look up for the concepts we don't understand. Unlike written language, if we didn't understand a certain concept, we can just look it up on a dictionary or search it in the internet.